I really just do not have time to make videos. Does that sound familiar to any of you? Well, it sounds familiar to me because honestly, I teach people about this stuff all the time, but even I sometimes feel tempted to say that when I look at my schedule and I think about all that I have going on. And the truth is, that is a very, very common challenge, is feeling like I'm just simply so busy that I don't have time to make videos. So I wanted to talk for a few minutes today about how to overcome that challenge and a planning process that you can use to confront this, right? To deal with the idea that you just simply don't have time for this, right? So let's talk it through a little bit. First of all, why does this happen? Why do we get to a point in our schedule, in our business, where we start to say, I don't have time for X, right? This is something that goes beyond video. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of times it's because of priorities. When we say something is we don't have time for it, all that really means is that I am not prioritizing this thing. This thing is not near the top of my list in terms of importance, right? And I would challenge you to think about it. If you really legitimately feel that you're so busy that you do not have time to make videos, maybe you need to think about outsourcing some of the stuff you're working on, because video is one of the most leveraged, most impactful things that you can possibly do in your business, right? So let's talk about how to approach this. The first thing that I've seen people run into when they have trouble fitting video into their schedule is they don't know what they're going to make their videos about. And in fact, this is one of my struggles. This is something that I sometimes run into. I'll even have time set aside and I'll say, I'm going to make a video, and then I sit down and I don't make one because I don't know what my video is supposed to be about. So let's start there, right? The first thing I want to mention here today is it really, really helps to have content themes or content pillars, right? Now, the idea here is that you want to pick between 3 to 5 topics that you can come back to over and over and over again. Why would you want to do that? Well, first and foremost, this is going to help you build a cohesive brand. When we talk about the same topics on a consistent basis, people start to know us for those topics. They start to be able to expect what they're going to see when they watch our videos. And that makes it easy for them to decide, hey, is this someone who talks about the kind of things I care about, and so therefore I should follow them actively? Or is this someone that does not talk about the things that I care about, and then in that case, they're not a good fit for me? And that's actually a really good thing for your business, right? You want your business and you want yourself to be known for specific things. So on the one hand, it might feel like, well, if I have topics I have to come back to over and over again, that's going to limit me. It's actually going to have the opposite effect. What we find is that once you've really honed in and you've dialed in on what are those topics I'm going to come back to over and over again, it's going to make it much easier, because when you sit down to make a video and you properly budget your time, which I'll talk about next, you're actually going to have ideas for your videos. So here's how you pick them. I don't want to spend too much time on this today, but the basic idea is you want to find things, and let me scroll over here to my other slide. You want to try to find things that you have in common with your ideal customer. So think about that. We call this a customer avatar, right? A prospective person that might want to work with you or your business, and all the details that encompass that person, as much detail as possible, right? Now, you can do that exercise on your own, but the basic idea here is you want to find things you can come back to over and over again that your audience is going to appreciate, but that you will also find interesting to talk about. If you pick topics that you're not excited to talk about, you're simply not going to execute on it. And this is one of the main reasons people don't have time for video, is that they feel like the videos they need to make are about things they don't really feel like talking about, right? So find that commonality. What do you have in common with your ideal customer that you can talk about on a regular basis, right? Now, to give you an example, let's talk about ours, right? So I'm still working on this a little bit, and it always changes from year to year a little bit. But ultimately, the things that I like to talk about in my videos are marketing, right? I love to talk about marketing, and video obviously is a big part of marketing. But I also like to talk about psychology. Psychology is another one of my topics, right? I love to talk about how the human brain works. And so that gives me a bunch of opportunities. I like to talk about soccer, right? Sports is a more broad topic, but really specifically soccer, because I've grown up playing it. I love the sport. We're getting an MLS team here in St. Louis soon. All that good stuff, right? So that's just a few examples. And what I want you to do first is pick your topics, pick your themes, right? Now, here's the next thing you're gonna do. Let me switch my screen share for just a second here, because I want to pull up an actual calendar and show you a little bit of the process that I would go through to schedule this into my day. I think this is the right one here. All right, looks like I'm on the right page there, and I'm going to go full screen so everybody can see this. And so what I would do is now that I have my topics, I've got my themes, I've got the things I want to talk about on a regular basis. Now I need to plan correctly. This is, I think, where a lot of people fall short, is they're just simply not scheduling the work into their calendar. Now, if you are scheduling it and you're saying, hey, on Mondays at 2 p.m. every week, I'm going to sit down and make my video content, and it's not happening, either A, you need to think about your time management structure and you need to be more consistent about adhering to your plan, right? So if you have time scheduled and you're just simply not doing what you're supposed to at that time, that's a whole different conversation. You need to really work on your time management. But another thing that tends to happen is you might sit down during that time, and instead of actually executing on the video, you end up just simply thinking about what it is, right? And sort of dragging it out. And all of a sudden you're an hour in and you haven't actually shot anything. So what I recommend to avoid that is separate out those times into different segments, right? So the first thing I'm going to encourage you to put into your schedule is the time to plan the videos, right? So what I would do is I would come in here and I'd say, okay, and again, I really encourage you to think of this as something that's going to be recurring. It's going to happen every single week so that you can make it into a habit, right? Once these things are consistent weekly habits, it's much, much harder to interfere with them. So what I might say is, you know what? I know that I'm typically available. Let's say you're a real estate agent and you have those Tuesday morning meetings. And I know that, hey, after my Tuesday morning meetings at 11 o'clock on Tuesday, I'm going to have some time available, right? Again, if that doesn't work for you, find a different time. It doesn't matter if this is exact, but I would come in here and I would create an event and I would say, video planning. All right. Now, here's the thing. You want to give yourself probably an hour for this. And it really just depends on how many videos you're trying to make in a given week. But what I don't like is I don't like ever feeling rushed when I'm making video content, right? So you want to give yourself enough time. Be reasonable. In fact, give yourself more time than you think you need. And then when you get it done in less time, you've got a little bit of free time, right? And you can use it in other ways. So I would say at least 1 hour, and I'm going to put video planning in here. However, I'm going to go a step further. Oh, I don't want an attachment. I just want to make a description. I'm going to click into the description. And I think it's really helpful that when you're planning your week, you tell yourself a little bit about how you're going to intend to use that time. So I would come in here in the description and I would say, I'm going to make a TikTok about psychology. I actually spelled it right. That's good, right? That's a hard one to spell. I'm going to do a Facebook Live about video marketing planning, which is, how meta, right? That's what I'm literally doing right now. And then I'm also going to make some plans for my weekly interview show, for instance, which I am also doing right now through the American Marketing Association. I have an interview show that we're doing, at least for now, on a weekly basis, right? So at the very least, put in a few notes, because here's going to happen. If you're like me, you're going to be just going through your day, right? And obviously I pulled up a blank calendar for the purpose of this demonstration, but you're going to have stuff at 9 and 10 and 12, and it's just going to keep going, right? And so if you don't have a little bit of a guidance there, right? If you don't have a little bit of an idea of the kind of videos you want to work on planning during that time, it can take you some time to kind of figure that part out. It's sometimes hard to shift gears. So that's just something that we try to do that I found really helpful, is if I say to myself, here's what I'm planning during that time, I'm actually more likely to get it done. All right. So keep that in mind. The next thing I want you to do then is plan the video shoot. All right. So there's actually 3 things we're doing here. We're doing planning, we're doing shooting, and we're doing editing, right? So 3 total. So once we've got it planned, we can shoot as soon or as far away as we want to, right? That's the beauty of having a good plan in place. So when I should have mentioned, and I'm not going to go into every detail right now, but while you're planning, you can have a script. You don't have to have a script, but at the very least, write down bullet points for every video, right? The idea of having that planning time separate is that when you come into the shoot, you should have enough information to simply get your camera turned on, get yourself situated, and then start making the videos, right? If there's anything else you have to do during that shoot time, you didn't do enough while you were planning. So, I've got 3 videos to make. One of them was a live video. One's a TikTok, and the other one's an interview that I'm doing. And so I'm going to probably need more like 2 hours for that. So I'd come in here and I'd say, okay, Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to have this time, and this is where I'm doing my video shoots. And again, I'm going to schedule this out for 2 total hours. And here's the thing, right? You can put notes in there if you want to, but your notes for the video shoot should have been the results of the video planning session. So whatever notes you took from the video planning session, either put them in the description for that second amount of time, or have them documented somewhere else, right? Now, here's the thing. This is the one, this one and the editing in particular are going to be the ones where you have to make sure you get it done, right? You got to make sure that time is carved out. Here's one of the challenges as a real estate agent in particular, is that there's going to be a lot of situations where you get distracted. Somebody's going to call you, something's going to happen, right? What I would really strongly encourage you to do here is to make this time sacred, and to tell people, hey, even change your voicemail message, right? Hey, for the next 2 hours, I'm going to be recording some videos. I apologize, I won't be able to answer my phone. I'll definitely get back to you by 3:30 this afternoon when I return calls. Whatever you have to do, make this time sacred, because when you're making video, you do want to be as focused and in a state of flow as much as possible. And if you're not, you're probably not going to make as good a content. So every little distraction, every little notification that pops up in your phone can derail you. And so you have to treat this time with a ton of respect. Again, that comes back to making this a priority and understanding what it is you're doing, right? Because here's what you're ultimately doing. If you get these 3 videos produced in this 2-hour time slot, you are going to be interacting with hundreds, if not thousands, of people. We got to remember that, right? This 2 hours you're dedicating is your opportunity to get in front of and interact with more people than you're going to interact with the entire rest of the week. And if you think of it that way, you will take it seriously and you will stay focused and get it done. If you think of this as just something extra, something that's, a nice bonus to have, it's going to fall by the wayside, right? So that's your video shoot. And that's the sort of thing where, again, you're probably going to be doing this yourself, at least knowing most of the people that we work with, but you might be working with a videographer. And I will tell you, if you are working with a videographer, that will help, right? Because it's going to make sure you're even more accountable. You have somebody else that you're literally scheduling and literally paying to be there, and it's going to happen in that case, right? Now, the third session that you're going to need here is the editing. And I encourage you to separate the two. I would be focused mostly just on shooting in one session and then editing in a different one. And the reason for that is that shooting the videos can be draining, right? It can also take sometimes longer than we expect. And if we feel this real rush to get into the editing right away, that can derail us. However, I also wouldn't put the editing off for too long, and I would make sure to schedule plenty of time for it, because that can be another trip up here. And this is one I've run into where I've shot footage and then never come back to edit it. So I would recommend putting it in within at least a week of the shoot. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and say Friday afternoon. Things get a little bit slower for me. And so I'm going to put in, maybe 2 hours here to do my video editing. All right. And again, this is where I'm going to want to transfer those notes that I came up with from my planning session into the editing, because a lot of times the way the video turns out is based on how you edit it, right? So you want to make sure you have that information prepared in advance as well. Okay. Now that's it. Now you might be looking at this going like, okay, yeah, I just need to schedule things into my calendar. And then that's probably fairly obvious, but I do want to point a few things out here. Number one, editing doesn't need to be done by you. So if you look at this and you go, okay, I get it, I need to put it in my calendar. Number one, if you're not putting it into your calendar at all, that's your problem. You just simply need to be planning for this stuff. If you are putting it into your calendar, but you're not doing it, it might be the themes. It might be that you're not really sure what to talk about and you're using that as an excuse to procrastinate. So make sure to define those themes, right? But if you're looking at this and you're going, I think I can actually do this, but my problem is I just don't have 5 hours available in a given week. Well, that means you need to make some other adjustments. And so here's what I'd recommend if we do this, all right, which is, it's funny, somebody actually just put an event in this this demo calendar I'm using. But anyway, so what we want to do here is we want to start to find ways to remove other things from your schedule. So if you're looking at this and you're going, I don't have time for video, I can't fit this in, you're showing me, 5 hours I'm supposed to put in here, I just simply can't make time for that. Well, you need to cut some stuff out, right? So the final thing I'll talk about here is, number one, outsource your editing. Editing is something that can be easily outsourced. Please talk to us. We got Connect Video ready to take that over for you in a moment's notice in a lot of ways, right? So if you have video footage you've shot, you need help, just let me know. I'll connect you to our team. But it doesn't matter, right? There's lots of different ways to get editing taken care of. So just simply find somebody to do the editing for you. Boom, 2 hours removed from your schedule entirely. Now you're only down to 3, right? Oh, I still don't have time for this. Well, adjust what it is you're creating. Think about vlogging. Think about documenting what you're doing in a given day. If you just simply record some video clips, or even have an employee or somebody you're working with record some video clips of you, that can be content, right? That can get you in front of more people. And the truth is, if you're still at that point feeling like, oh, I just can't find this couple hours to get this done, you probably need to hire an assistant, all right? Or you need to look through your schedule, you need to look through the things you're doing, and you need to cut out some of the less impactful ones, right? Where are you wasting time talking to people that you shouldn't be? Or where are you being inefficient with the way you're marketing, or whatever it might be? There will be places you can save some time, and then you can replace it with the time you want to dedicate to video, right? So that's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope that's helpful for a few of you. I mean, this is something that I know I've certainly struggled with. It's something that I've had to focus on and prioritize and really dedicate myself to taking seriously. But you got to remember, video is the future of human communication. This is how we talk to one another, and you got to start to take this stuff seriously. And if you're not prioritizing it and putting it into your calendar and making it a regular part of your business, it's not going to happen, because it is a challenge, right? Video can be complicated and it can be frustrating, right? So that's all I want to share with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I see Jerry was here. Dan's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. For all of you that watch this, I appreciate it. If you want more help, if you feel like, you know what, I really do need more help here, I need some guidance on how to make the videos, or I need some support and accountability, definitely check out Business Video School. We have completely structured our school to make this stuff as humanly easy as possible. And we are definitely here to hold you accountable and push you to make this a regular part of what you do. Because here's the thing, it is not going away. Video is only going to continue to become more and more important. And wouldn't you rather get in the habit of doing this now before everyone expects it, rather than waiting another year and having all of your customers asking you why you're not sending them video communication? That would not be good, right? So make sure you prioritize it. Make sure you get focused on it and use some of these systems. And in particular, this sounds really simple, but just put it in your calendar. I think for a lot of people, if you just simply put the time in your calendar, you're going to have a much better chance of getting it done. All right. So thank you so much for watching this today, and I'll see you on the next one.